What I was told over the years is my dad and his brother Owen started farming here in that section down there in December of 1945. Started milking cows, and back at that time it was between the colony house and the barn was trees. Probably the best recollection I have is picking roots. That was my first job that I really remember, that for hours and hours and hours clearing land. And my father started purchasing land around him. At one time they had right at 1,000 acres. Now it's down to right around 450 acres. Looks a whole lot different now.
We were kids and loved to come to the farm because it was so amazing to me to see all the animals and the baby calves. And when I was in high school, I actually applied and was hired on the farm. So I worked for Tracy's dad.
I mean, this is Palmer. I think what makes this community are these family farms and their interactions with the community, and the fact that they're feeding us and they participate in the community. And I just think that's particularly beautiful, and that's what makes this place so special.
One of the main things, especially in the restaurant business, is about quality. And you have to take a stand about what quality means to you. And to me, as a chef, it all starts with where it comes from. At our facilities, local food is part of our identity, and that was something that we chose at the beginning. And the connection that we have to the community and having the community understand where we're sourcing our food has been part of our organic growth over years.
We sell a lot of it local to people right here, but we sell both beef and pigs to 49th State Brewing Company in Anchorage as our main buyer.
There's nothing more real than saying I source my food from a farm, and you can literally drive out here and see where it comes from. You can sit there and meet the farmers, and to me, that trust and honesty is something I wanted to bring into our business, and that's why the relationship with Moffitt Farms is so important to me.
You know, Alaska has a very, very tiny portion of our topography is suitable for agriculture, and that's going to be soil, it's going to be water, and it's going to be climate. And when you look at the vastness that is Alaska, we all think it's a huge state. But those key components that make agriculture viable are actually very, very tiny. They're a fraction of a percent. Over half of Alaska's population center is within driving distance of this farm. The food security of over half the state could come right from this farm. That's over 400,000 people right now in Alaska. That's huge.
Our identity as a company is directly linked to these farmers in Alaska. Part of Moffitt is part of our identity, but also the quality of the products that I'm using in the restaurant are directly linked to the knowledge that is shared with the farmer and myself and how these animals eat, how they're taken care of. And the real thing that I would say is your palate doesn't lie, and it's all in the taste.
The saying is fresher by far, and you have no idea until you have a zucchini from right down the road and the difference that it makes versus something that you've bought from the store that's traveled up here for 2 weeks. It's unreal.
Everybody should want to have food available locally, and everybody, without question, benefits from the community that these family farms create. You know, the agricultural importance of this place is tremendous, not just to Palmer, but to all of South Central. I mean, they're feeding a lot of people.
The biggest threat, I think, is just making enough money to keep the farm viable, to keep the land in production. Working with Alaska Farmland Trust to put this 95 acres into the trust would allow us to build some infrastructure for the farm for the future.
It's a historic farm to Palmer, and the importance to the community to preserve this. I just can't imagine losing this.
Losing Moffitt Farms would be something that I don't even want to think about. It's something that we talked about before, is the concept of losing a farm. But the reality is we need to help those farmers, not just by me purchasing, but also with other support to make sure that we can look at the generations to come.
This farm's feeding people, and certainly in the year 2020 with the pandemic, there's never been a more important time to preserve and protect these food-producing pieces of land. And this is one of them that's been doing it for many, many generations.
If we're not able to complete this deal with the Moffitts, my understanding is that, they'll be forced to sell at least a portion of this to a developer, and the next step, I'm sure, would be a subdivision.
And it's more than just beauty and community. It's also food security. We need to think about that and preserving the lifestyle of farming. More and more acreage across the United States is being gobbled up by development, and we're not anti-development, but we don't need more strip malls and we don't need more gravel pits. We do need a reliable food source.
It's not that we don't want people to live in the valley, it's just that it doesn't have to be on this piece of ground with this much productive soil.
Well, I think eventually we would have to sell some property to a developer, to somebody for housing or whatever, and eventually that's where we would have to go. So,
I don't think we'd have any other choice.
yeah. The legacy of this farm, we would love to just keep it as a Moffitt farm and keep it an open space. We've done everything we can do not to develop the property.
We recognize that when you do, it's gone forever.
Farmland Trust needs everyone's help to preserve this. It helps us do what we do with farmers to secure the properties and make sure that they don't get developed and go away forever. So by helping them, By you helping Alaska Farmland Trust help them, we preserve it so it will not be a strip mall or a gravel pit. It will stay in farming for perpetuity.
Yeah, all we ask of sustaining members is $10 a month. Of course, we would love more, but to protect this place and to keep this sense of community, to keep the food coming out of this area, I think it's a pretty fair trade.
Because usually the farmers are farmers. They're not the bankers, they're not the packaging or processing place. And so to find a relationship with the Moffitts that we found is so prized that it's literally helping define our identity as a restaurant group in Alaska. And we want to see that flourish for years to come.
Working with Alaska Farmland Trust, so that just looked like an absolute win for us. Still farm the property, but get some of the value out of the property. So you're not selling it, for subdivision for your retirement.
Contribute. Become a member of the Alaska Farmland Trust. Sign up as a sustaining member. I think that's probably the most impactful thing you can do. You don't have a lot of pieces of property that are of this size. The food security of over half the state could come right from this farm.
Whether it's growing peonies or whether it's animals or whether it's hay or a goat farm, our dream has always been, if they want a farm, it's here. And, you have to keep trying to protect it.